All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with a fantastic chapter of One Piece. Onwards to My Hero Academia. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. Today, we are going through chapter 405, and we don't even get a title, as the last chapter had Bakugo getting up, jetting towards Midoriya, and using their combined might, they rescue All Might away from All for One, with Bakugo screaming Midoriya to finish this. Yeah, let's finish this. And so we begin this chapter with the face of All Might, the face of Shigaraki, the face of Young All for One, Midoriya, and also Bakugo. And we begin with chapter 405, the final boss. And as this is going on, we have like this sort of dreamscape situation where Night Eye is apparently talking to All Might. And we see All Might in his like disheveled, messed up body state while Night Eye is speaking to him as he goes, "So this isn't when it was supposed to happen? So this isn't when it was supposed to happen, Night Eye?" "No, it was All Might. This is where your dream died. Fate was reshaped, you see." "What's true is that the dream did die." "What's true is that the dream did die here, and your promise is intact. But everyone knows the old master is meant to die after passing on the torch." "But everyone knows the old master is meant to die after passing on the torch." "You've read too many comic books, Toshinori Yagi. This is what I'm making my own hallucinations say." "You are a hero, but you're also human. You can't possibly die so readily." And as that happens, we see Bakugo, who's shooting through the air, and he's using his explosions so that both he and All Might land on a far-off roof in the distance, and everyone is seeing this happen. And kids are going, "A blasting quirk? Isn't that him? The one the League kidnapped? What was his name again? They tied him up at the sports festival." "Bakugo!" And it's Bakugo who's huffing and puffing because he's tired, but he also saved All Might. "Bakugo, kid, are you okay?" "That's my line, you banged up bag of bones." And then Bakugo starts coughing up blood immediately. "I believe it's my line as well." As Bakugo is coughing up blood, but then we see something come out of his body around the spot where Shigaraki punched a whole hole. Sorry, got burps. Punched a whole hole in his chest, and it's Edge Shot. But he's like very, very shriveled up. "Huh? Edge Shot!" "I forced you to expel the pooled blood within. That should grant you some relief." And then, as Edge Shot is saying this, he stitched up pretty much everything, I guess, in Bakugo's body, and also stitched up the hole, and then he snaps that part of him off and falls to the ground in an incredibly shriveled up state. "Your marred organs and broken bones. I used my own body to mend them with bowline knots courtesy of the hidden Hakamata style. Those repairs will not come unraveled. Yet, every breath you take will inflict hellish agony. Your body demands not action, but rest." And then, as Edge Shot is laying there, he's not turning back into his original state because he pretty much gave his whole being in order to save Bakugo. And Bakugo is holding his chest, and he hears his heart thumping inside of him. Yeah, got it. Thanks for bringing me back, senpai. I only held you together."
Despite my success in forcibly restarting his heart and lungs, the spark of life would not return. My Ninpo thousand-sheet piece Zenith is a transformation that eats away at my very life force. At a point beyond my limits, as I was forced to weigh my own life against Bakugo's, I saw it rushing through his bloodstream. None other than something produced by Bakugo's body moments before his death. A tiny bead of sweat. I only held you together. What brought you back was the power you've honed.
And then we see Bakugo as he's standing there, because I believe this means that Bakugo and the power within him jump-started himself. That's that spark that allowed Bakugo to fully get up. Edge Shot only repaired his body, but Bakugo is the one who stood up.
Anyway, I'm sure you'll be tangling with all...
Oh wait, and this is All Might going.
Anyway, I assumed you'd be tangling with All for One, but who's the glowing...
Oh wait.
Anyway, I assumed you'd be tangling with All for One, but who's the glowing runt I'm about to destroy? Right, the first time, kid. That is All for One. Your arm, please.
And then as Bakugo is standing there with All Might,
this won't do its original job anymore, but it can still serve as a brace.
Because Bakugo's arm, his right arm, it's heavily messed up. It's heavily messed up and bleeding. But All Might takes the gauntlet that he was going to use against All for One, and it configures, it comes off of his arm and goes onto Bakugo's arm to brace him.
This won't do its original job anymore, but it can still serve as a brace. Great explosion. Murder God Dynamite.
And then it configures onto Bakugo's arm.
I wish I could give you more.
And as Bakugo's looking at it, he gives the most, the most wholesome smile. He gives he's like, he gives like this he gives a Midoriya smile to All Might. And then we have All for One who's floating in the air.
No, that can wait. No, that can wait. After coming this far, only One for All and my brother will be mine! That requires an uncompromised hijacking of Tomura's all-too-powerful will. I'll have to grant him my quirk. And me with it.
And this is All for One who's like beside himself with anger because his whole face is just covered in veins because what was right in front of him has been denied in front of him once again.
I'll have to grant him my quirk, and me with it. If only the me within him already could have wrested away the reins. Oh, how it boils the blood. How can it be that the gears have gone so awry?
And this is All for One who can't fully understand how all of his planning has gone way beyond his methods of being able to comprehend and counteract it. A man so full of himself and thinking that all his plans were infallible, were impossible to fail. He cannot comprehend why things are not going his way right now. He literally mentally cannot think, what happens if I fail? It's a brand new experience for him. It's a brand new sensation, and he can't fully comprehend it because we see Endeavor, we see Hawks, we see who is this? Who is this individual? Is this one of the Wild Wild Pussycats? It's somebody. Oh no, I think that's Jiro. And then we have Tokoyami. We have Tokugawa. We have what's her face? We have all the students, all the people that were fighting him. We have Mineta and we have All Might. All these individuals basically all these people who stood against him. He cannot comprehend how his plans have gone off so much. And as this happens, we get Bakugo who's blasting towards him, who screams, "I'm the final boss, All for One!"
The wind was meant to blow my way.
And this is All For One lamenting as Bakugo blasts directly in front of him and puts his hand directly on All For One's face.
I'm the final boss, All For One. The wind was meant to blow my way.
And then, as this happens, I guess All For One gets like a memory of the second user of One For All. Right before Bakugo lets off an explosion that engulfs the entire battle. Point blank on All For One's face. Point blank on his face! And Bakugo screams out,
One For All couldn't keep you in the ground, but we'll finish the job and then some!
And that's the end of this chapter. Yo, Bakugo is back, and he's already throwing hands. Now, these streams tend to not be as long as my One Piece ones, so I'll say what I need to say and then go on to Jujutsu. This is the reason why I love this series. Oh, these titanic moments for characters. Bakugo saves All Might. Edgeshot pretty much gives his life to save Bakugo. Bakugo gets like a gauntlet, like a little souvenir from All Might. And it's akin to like how he wanted to get an autograph on his card for All Might. And this is All Might just giving him something even better because Bakugo's body is still really messed up. But this man does not waste any time as his... And now here's the thing about Bakugo at this moment. It's not just from his hands that explosions are emanating. Explosions are coming out of his body like from all over. Like, you look at his arm, and it's like, there's explosions around his arm, all over his back, everywhere. He's exploding all over, but it doesn't look like it's actually harming him, but his whole body has become an explosive. Not just from his hands, his whole body. And he ends this chapter by blowing up All For One, or at least causing a gigantic explosion. And the explosion was not only so heavy and so encompassing, but it launches All For One straight into the ground because we see like the beam, like we see like the big contrail of when a person in an anime gets knocked in another direction. And we also see the impact, but the whole area just lights up as Bakugo just bodies All For One. And the thing that gets me is that All For One hasn't fully realized, but ever since he's been regressing more and more, his ability to stay calm and think things clearly has caused him to slip up. And this is one of his bigger moments of slipping up, because as this is happening, he cannot fully comprehend how All Might is still alive and how he was denied the ability to kill him. He doesn't understand how he hasn't succeeded yet. Why the winds aren't blowing his way. He says, let's see, no, that can wait. He's looking at All Might and Bakugo, and he's contemplating it, but he's all like, no, that can wait, because I need to get to Shigaraki. No, that can wait. After coming this far, One For All and my brother will be mine. So my thing is, he doesn't just want One For All, he wants his brother as well. Literally everything that belonged to his brother, he wants it. Why not just say, I need One For All, but One For All and my brother will be mine? Because his brother is the only one that would never submit to him. So it's crazy how he's still holding on to that after all these, after a century. So he says, no, that can wait. After coming this far, One For All and my brother will be mine. That requires an uncompromised hijacking of Tomura's all-too-powerful will. I'll have to grant him my quirk and me with it. So this pretty much just confirms my assumption from I want to say like a year ago. He wants to not only subject his will into Tomura, but he wants to become one with Tomura as well, both in mind and body. This confirms a theory that I had about a year ago, that he doesn't just want to turn Tomura into a new version of him. He wants to become the new him. he really just prepared Tomura to not only become a vessel for his will, but literally a new vessel for him. He wants to become one with Tomura so he can have Tomura's new advanced body, but every part of All for One is still in him. Not just his consciousness that's in his quirk that's in Tomura, but he himself as the individual as well. That's the reason why he's trying to get to Tomura. Not just to inject some more of his will into him, but just to become one with Tomura. Literally assimilate him. So it's not just like, I'll have to grant him my quirk and me with it. It's not just that. He wants to become one with Tomura on top of that. If only the me within him already could have wrested away the reins. Oh, how it boils the blood. How could it be that the gears have gone so awry? And this is the moment where All for One's mentality, his ability to process information, just completely goes off the rails. Because, like I said, he has not been able to, he doesn't know what it means for when his plans don't go the way they're supposed to. Because normally he would have a backup just in case his usual plans don't work out. He's prepared for that. But he's not prepared for how these plans have gone so off the rails that he doesn't have a backup plan for this. He's not prepared for this. And it mentally disturbs him that he can't figure out why his plans have not gone the way he has foreseen. He was so absolutely sure that all I have to do is just inject my will into Tomura's mind and then his body's mind. Tomura's will proves to be far stronger than he anticipated, so he decides, you know what, I'm going to travel to where Tomura is, inject more of myself into Tomura, so that way I can take him over more, and when he tries to get close to Tomura, Tomura's all like, butt out, I don't need you, this is my fight. So that's another moment that's denied to him. He's also been injected with Rewind, which is making his body regress even further, especially faster whenever he takes more damage. And he's steadily trying to get to Tomura, and he still, for the life of him, cannot understand how things have gone from him looking like one of the most swagged out villains when he first started fighting. Vest and suit jacket and all, brand new skull, helmet and everything. He cannot, for the life of himself, figure out how did things get so bad for him. Because he thought that with everything he was doing, he was on the precipice of killing All Might. Yet that was denied, thanks to Bakugo. And now he's in a state right now, mentally, to the point where he's actually distracted by his own thoughts, which allows Bakugo to get point blank in front of him and just obliterate him and send him crashing into the ground. How much damage this has done to All for One, we don't know. But it's considering the fact that Bakugo pretty much unleashed an explosion that is almost comparable to the explosion that was going to take both All Might and All for One out, I can only imagine that All for One's body has regressed even further because of this. He's being denied the chance to, enforce his will onto Tomura the more damage he suffers. And Bakugo is a relentless individual. His body's broken and messed up, but thanks to Edge Shot, it's in a far better state. But Bakugo is not the type of individual to let up. He is the type of individual that is like, yeah, I'm not about to let you go anywhere. I hit you once, I'm going to keep hitting you until you are incapable of moving. That's the type of individual that Bakugo is. Now, All for One thought for himself that, you know what, I could sway him in my direction because he has that animalistic type nature that I could definitely use. But little did he know that Bakugo is a massive All Might fanboy as much as Midoriya, but he doesn't outwardly show it. The worst thing you could possibly do is try and murder the man that he admires. So not only is Bakugo going after him because he's a villain, but he's also going after him because he almost killed his mentor, his inspiration for being a hero. So when I say that All for One probably has one of the worst opponents right now, a revitalized Bakugo who, for all intents and purposes, looks like he's using an evolution of his explosion quirk, he is possibly the worst person to be fighting against right now. Especially with Bakugo's ferocity, this dude does not know what holding back means. Bakugo is about to go all in on All for One, and All for One still can't think of how did things get this bad. Literally, we literally, in this panel, we have All For One whose face is being pressed on by Bakugo before he blows it up, and you can just picture it like, yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I wound up in this situation. About to have my face blown off by a young kid hero. How my plans gone so awry and I was unable to kill the symbol of peace, All Might. My years of trying to go up against every user of One For All now led to a moment where I could possibly actually lose. That's that moment. It's like, you might be wondering why I'm in this situation right now. That's exactly how it's drawn in this panel, and I love it. I love the beginning part with All Might and Night Eye. Yeah, I love that as well, because All Might says this isn't where it was supposed to happen, Night Eye. No, it was All Might. This is where your dream died. Fate was reshaped, you see. What's true is that the dream did end here, and your promise is intact. But everyone knows the old master is meant to die after passing on the torch, and Night Eye is all like, you've read too many comic books, Toshinori Yagi. And I have to say, I think that's Horikoshi calling out everyone that thought that All Might was destined to die in order for the heroes to progress and beat the final boss. Literally Horikoshi calling out everyone that said, like, All Might is going to die and that's how things are going to go. And then the heroes face off against the final villain and avenge All Might. I feel like Horikoshi is like, that's a meta reaction to everyone thinking that All Might was going to die. I actually like that. This is what I'm making my own hallucination say. You are a hero, but you're also human. You can't possibly die so readily. This isn't a comic book. You don't need to die just because it would make sense in a comic book. Literally every single person that thought All Might was going to die during this entire confrontation. Now, mind you, I said if he dies, I would understand. But if he doesn't, I would understand. I never went to the angle of like, oh yeah, All Might's going to die. Because I don't like to jump ahead that much. But this is literally Horikoshi calling out everyone that says like, All Might's going to die! He's going to die! What are you going to do if All Might dies? What would you think if All Might dies? And then Night Eye is all like, you've read too many comic books. All Might is all like, but everyone knows the old master is meant to die after passing on the torch. You've read too many comic books, Toshinori Yagi. And I feel like you can insert anyone's name there. You've read too many comic books. Insert user on YouTube who's reading these chapters and thought All Might was going to die here. That's exactly what this is to me. I don't know. It feels like he's calling him out. And I love the fact All Might named the gauntlet Lord Explosion Murder God Dynamite. Him giving it to Bakugo and then Bakugo's adorable smile. Yes! This is the most wholesome. Matter of fact, this is the first time we see Bakugo having a genuine wholesome smile on his face since he was a child. Back when he and Midoriya were both friends as children growing up, and they both like All Might before Bakugo started to become, like a bad kid. But that's the most wholesome smile on Bakugo's face that we have ever seen. Not just like him smiling with a devious look on his face, like actual genuine appreciation. Bakugo has come a mighty long way as a character. Seeing him smile like this was earned. This was earned. And I like it. I love it. This was another amazing chapter. I enjoyed it. But I gotta continue on. Because I still got Jujutsu Kaisen to do, and then I gotta go out and get myself something to eat. I want to get myself like a really big sandwich. I don't know if I'm gonna get like a French Swiss and dip from Arby's, or if I'm gonna get like a Baconator from Wendy's. I might get a Baconator from Wendy's because I'm kind of feeling that. Still upset that they don't have the bourbon bacon cheeseburger anymore. Crime against humanity. But this was a good chapter. All Might is about to find out. He messed around way too much. He was all like, all right. So, down here, we have our mess around line. Up here is your find out by line. So, the more All Might kept messing around higher and higher and higher. I got to touch up my walls here because there were some things on the wall that I got to paint over. All For One was messing around more and more. And then he kept messing around more and more. And the more he kept messing around, the more he was finding out. First off, he got his whole upper face just completely obliterated to the point where he was unable to function normally because his nose was gone, his eyes were completely obscured. He rewound, got older, but then got hit so hard thanks to Endeavor that he was forced to use a rewind quirk to rewind his body. And he had a good old time for a hot minute until he started to regress further and further. But then he faced off against All Might, and he found out that All Might, despite not having a quirk in his body, was still as formidable as he was back in his heyday. Still an issue for him. So All For One kept finding out a little bit more and more, until he's now at the height of finding out, of messing around and finding out. He's now at the height of that with Bakugo just blasting his face point blank. The more you mess around, the more you're gonna find out. And All For One's about to find out. I didn't like the fact Edgeshot was alive at first, but the way it was explained how Bakugo managed to get his beating heart again. Yeah. See, here's the thing. We don't know the extent of how that, we didn't know anything about that special quirk move that Edgeshot was using because it was like his Hakamata style. But we don't know the fullest extent of how far it stretched until it was told until this point. So I'm not surprised that Edgeshot still had enough life in him to come out of Bakugo and then snap off his end. But I mean, that's the end of Edgeshot. He literally gave his life to save Bakugo. Now mind you, he said that he gave everything from him to Bakugo to mend his bones and everything in his body, bones and organs. He literally gave all of himself in order to save Bakugo and heal him completely. I enjoyed it because not only did it remind me of Eneru, I'm pretty sure it's accurate to real life too. I think nitroglycerin helps with heart failure and stuff. I don't think, quote me on that. You know what? Let's look at it. Nitro. Let me see. Nitroglycerin pills. Yes. Yeah, you're actually right. Holster, you're onto something. Nitroglycerin, also known as glycerol trinitrate, is a vasodilator used for heart failure, high blood pressure, fissures, painful stuff for women, and to treat and prevent chest pain caused by decreased blood flow to the heart or due to the recreational use of. There's a recreational use for snorting stuff. That is something I did not know. This includes chest pain from a heart attack. Nitroglycerin. Yeah. So what jump-started Bakugo's heart? You really are onto something, Holster. What jump-started Bakugo's heart was his natural nitroglycerin sweat in his body. That helped his heart. Helped jumpstart him. That's a medical thing. Just the natural nature of the nitroglycerin that builds up in his body helped jumpstart him back after Edgeshot healed his heart and started getting it pumping. That spark of the nitroglycerin in him is what caused him to get back up again, which is cool. Love how the real life implications of his own quirk helped him survive. I love that. But I also love this entire chapter, and now we got Bakugo versus All For One while Midoriya is still facing off against Shigaraki. I cannot wait for the next chapter. However, it appears that we are going on break for this specifically because it says new chapter coming in 14 days. We're not going on break for One Piece, but we're going on break for My Hero Academia. And it doesn't appear like we're going on break for Jujutsu Kaisen. All in all, this is why I love this series so much. There's so much to deep dive within My Hero Academia that I could just talk about it for hours. Fortunately, I don't have that time because I need to move on to Jujutsu and then rest the rest of the day and just eat and chill and get back on and play Hades, which is an incredibly good game. I didn't know, but I'm done. A great chapter of One Piece today, and now a great chapter of My Hero Academia. I'm done with my reaction for today, and I cannot wait for the next chapter of My Hero. But it's time to move on to Jujutsu Kaisen. So to everyone here, all I can say for anyone who's watching me for the first time, or maybe you've been here for a minute and you're just watching like normal. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!